We'd like to welcome everybody out tonight to Turning the Page. I'm Donnie Morse of Confetti Antiques and Books, and we welcome you all here tonight to hear Mark Staker in his new book, Hearken, O Ye People. We'd like to invite the publisher, Greg Koford, to come forward and give us a little biography on Mark and introduce Mark for us. Greg?
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure working with Mark and getting this book finally out. It's been quite a journey. Little background on Mark. He has a PhD in anthropology. He's worked for the church for 16 years and is with the church historical department and specializing in archaeology and history. And the book, which we have a few here on the table, has been a true labor of love for Mark. And he's gone into sources that hitherto weren't recognized as even being relevant to the Mormon story, but have shed great light upon it. In fact, Richard Bushman, who wrote Joseph Smith, Rough Stone Rolling, and is also general editor of the Joseph Smith papers, had this to say. I'll just read a couple of lines of his blurb. I'm not aware of a more deeply researched and richly contextualized study of any period of Mormon church history than Mark Staker's study of Mormons in Ohio. This book sets a new standard of in-depth research in Latter-day Saint history. This is truly a watershed moment when we were able to put this out, and we're very excited to have Mark here to talk about it tonight.
Thank you, Greg. I'm glad I have a chance to come and talk with you a little bit tonight about my book. And I wanted to just give a little bit of background about the book and how it came about and some information that you might find interesting. And then I'd like to turn the time over, if we can, to let you ask any questions you might have about the book or about Kirtland or whatever else comes to mind. But I was brought on as the historian for this project almost 16 years ago, fairly early in my employment at the Museum of Church History and Art at the LDS Church. This book deals with the nitty-gritty of Kirtland life to an extent. I wanted to deal with the weather and the setting, what people were talking like, what they looked like. My background as an anthropologist, part of that was archaeology, part of anthropology is linguistics. My specific training was cultural anthropology, and so I was interested in the cultural setting and the background that these people, that influenced them. But the main focus of the book is what was the context in which Joseph Smith received the revelations that he dictated to his scribes, or that in some cases he wrote partially himself. What were the issues that they were trying to deal with? What were the questions that had been raised? And in some cases, I think that our reading of these revelations over a century and a half has lost that original context. Because we assume that certain things were being answered, because those are questions that we want to see answered, we don't recognize that they were dealing with different issues. And because they were dealing with different issues, the responses actually, we can draw different things from the responses than we might have otherwise. Just one example that comes immediately to mind is that I grew up as a Latter-day Saint household, and was always raised to assume that the early Latter-day Saints, the revelations that Joseph Smith received, were opposed to infant baptism, and so because of that, we're talking about baptizing at 8. That we should wait and to not baptize infants, but we should wait to baptize until they're 8. And it turns out that it was the opposite, that the early members were just baptizing adults. And so the revelation is not dealing with postponing baptism, but lowering the age of baptism. Saying you can baptize people as young as 8. You don't have to wait until they're adults to baptize them.